Welcome everyone. Today we have someone very special. His name is Anjaan. He's been born in a Vedic family and has been brought up in yogic ways since the age of 5. And again, he's been brought up around multiple disciplines. He is currently a certified massage therapist, a third degree Reiki healer, a martial arts coach, that is 11th Dan black belt, and an ordained Zen facilitator. And today he's been having this audacious goal of meditating with a million, where he tries to meditate with one person every day, and that is again in person. So that is a very big goal, but yes, he's gung on it. So there are many other topics we'll be touching on, as well as a few myths which we would like to dissect. So welcome, Anjan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So Anjan, first I would like to start with what's your surname?
Mm. So that introduction you gave was very generous. I hope I can live up to everything you said. So thank you for that, Harish. In the process of disconnecting from every box or identity that we as humans have put on ourselves, I dropped my surname in 2002.
Um,
So
Dropped
we're
as in
called dropped as in dropped. We're
okay.
called mononyms like Madonna or Jesus.
Mm,
Comparing myself to them, but we're mononyms. So, and of course, you're wondering, Anjaan, is that my name? So my birth name is Anjan, Anjan. So in 2002, on a radio show on Jan 1st, 2002. Okay, so the background to this is interesting because before I changed my name, I had the opportunity to hang out with a few Sufi saints. And Anjan is a very deep philosophy of Sufism. Jiska Jaan Pehchan Na Ho in Hindi, which means the one whose identity is not known, or the one who cannot be identified, or the one whose knowledge of the self is not complete, right? And as humans in this existence, in this human experience, we're all kind of like that. We don't know who we are, right? So we give ourselves identities, and name is one of the biggest identities. You're Harish, I'm Anjan, somebody's Donald Trump, right? Otherwise, how do you differentiate between who you are and who I am? And the essence of all yogic and tantric systems is to dissolve this differentiation, where you
mm,
become me. So why the attachment to a name or a nationality or a caste or a creed or a gender or a job title or a role? I'm a brother, I'm a lover, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an interviewer, I'm an interviewee, right? So you break as many roles and as many boxes and as many definitions and as many labels as you can. That's the process anyway. So I said, why not? So yeah, so I hung out with these Sufis. I got inspired by the meaning of the word Anjan. So on radio, it sounded cooler. I was a radio DJ then. So I just simply put another A inside. Subsequently, later, I found out the numerological, astrological differences between 5-letter name, 6-letter name, and how the astrological thing changed for me and stuff like that. But yeah, I've had this name since 2002 now. So I don't think of it as real name, fake name. I think of it as old name, new name. And it's not that new anymore. I might change my name again. I might just go to A, or I don't know. Who cares? I'm not attached to my name.
wow, wow. Means I've never met anyone who has consciously decided that okay, I'm I'll have just one single word as a name.
Why? Why more? I mean, name itself is an identity, and then surname, and then caste, and then creed, and then
Right.
nationality. Who's creating these boundaries other than us humans? So
That's
can
true.
we dissolve boundaries? And if I cannot practice what I'm preaching, then why am I preaching? So I dissolve boundary even at the nomenclature. I don't. People can call me anything they want. My love
Mm.
for them doesn't reduce.
So, Anjan, you have recently been speaking about Kundalini Yoga. Can you share what is Kundalini Yoga as well as about your Kundalini sensitivity?
Hmm. So let's try to understand first what this word is. Yeah, it's been misinterpreted, misunderstood, or I'd say interpreted in many ways and understood in many ways. All asana-based practices in yoga, all body-based practices in Tantra are designed to make you more sensitive to your Kundalini. So this is the first kind of overview of a picture. So to call some specific yoga as Kundalini Yoga is like saying, okay, now you're going to take an inhale breath, right? Or now you're going to do living life, right? Or now you're going to do eating, swallowing. You understand the redundancy of that. So, but because yoga has been misappropriated and people like to commercialize it, it's one of the types of yoga that people teach. So what the West understands at Kundalini Yoga is because of this genius called Yogi Bhajan, who took grand yogic principles, took it to the West and called his form of teaching Kundalini Yoga. And these are the Kundalini yogis who are practicing amazing kriyas and amazing meditation techniques, which help to increase sensitivity of the Kundalini. But all yoga, whether it is Hatha Yoga, whether it is Bhakti Yoga, whether it is Raja Yoga, whether it is Laya Yoga, whether it is Hiranyagarbha Yoga, whether it is from the Hatha Yoga Pradipaka text or from Patanjali's text, are all designed to make us more aware and sensitive to our own Kundalini. Now, what is Kundalini? It's your dormant kind of life force energy which exists within every human and within the universe, that runs everything, that fuels everything, that powers everything. And that is basically what many kind of religious aspects call the mother or the ma, or like the divine feminine, or Pachamama in the Aztec and Amazonian culture, the mother of the earth. So this is the divine Shakti. Shakti means power or energy that exists within us, which then combining with consciousness, Shiva, right, forms an amalgamation of Shiva Shakti, Ardhararishwari, thereby matching the yin and yang, the Ida and Pingala movements, the sun and the moon, the negative and the positive, and finding a way to merge into this central channel, erupting all over the body and resulting in bliss. This is what people call Kundalini Awakening.
And this is, I guess, at the root of the spine. Is that correct? Which, when it is in a sleeping mode?
Not necessarily in my perspective. There's many perspectives to this. So the root of the spine is a physical part in your body, right? Things like Kundalini and many other things, all the Shaktis we talk of, all the Dakini Devis that we spoke of in Navaratri are all occult and mystic elements. They're not really, they're in the subtle realm. They're not in the gross realm. So to pinpoint and say root of the spine is a bit gross. So there exists a dimension in that area, commonly referred to as the Mooladhara Chakra. This dimension is known to house the latent Kundalini energy. But for some people, maybe it's around their heart center because they're already so overflowing with love. So maybe this is where it's latent. Some people are so powerful and they already are doing many things in their life which is full of power and energy and vitality. So maybe this is around their dimension that we call Manipuraka Chakra, right? Maybe some people are already intuitive. So maybe this is where it's. So it's not necessarily as a rule there. Of course, the job of any yogi is to understand the sensitivity, figure out where is it flowing, where is it not flowing, where is it flowing less, where is it flowing more, how can it flow everywhere, how can you make it flow from up to down, even my dog agrees. How can we move it through the different dimensions of existence we call chakras? How can we sense their movement through nadis, which are esoteric energy channels? This is the whole science.
So it's not necessary that the dormant, I guess the sleeping snake resides in the root of the backbone. It could be different for different people. Again, how they look towards life.
It need not even be dormant for somebody. Like for you, you're so eloquent and you're so vocal and you're so, you're articulate. So
Thank you for those words.
Is not dormant. Definitely your Kundalini is not dormant. It's empowering you to bring out this speech. Vak Siddhi, we call in Sanskrit. the ability to share your truth, to speak your word. Of course, you can associate that with the Vishuddha, Vishuddhi, whatever you want to call it, chakra. Right? But that's only one dimension of it. So if your Kundalini is not, if it's completely dormant, you are called disembodied. So you're either in a coma, or you're dead, or you're not in your body. You're alive, but not in your body. So there are
Mm.
states that exist like this, right?
That's right.
But as
That's
long
right.
as you're embodied, you're embodying this energy. So you don't need to really awaken it. It's already alive. You just need
Mm.
to become sensitive to it, to understand it, to experience it, to resonate with it, to feel it. It's like saying I have to awaken breath. You don't have to awaken breath. You just have to breathe consciously. Whether
That.
or not you're aware of your breath, you're still breathing, right?
Mm.
So if you become aware of your breath, then you become conscious. In the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, he's described beautiful techniques called pranayama, through which you can be aware of the life force which comes in through the breath. In modern day, they call it breath work. I don't know why it should not be work. it's not work to breathe. But I like to use the word conscious breathing, where you're aware of your breath. There are many, many brilliant people. Even Wim Hof does this. You interviewed one of my favorite yogis, Simon Bog Olivier. He has his own amazing conscious breath techniques.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if you become aware and sensitive to it, it gives you more power.
Yes, you've touched this very interesting point about breathing. We had a very great discussion with Simon too about breathing, as well as discussing about Wim Hof's technique. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Breathing shouldn't be termed as work. It is something which is very much naturally coming to us. I don't know why we are programming it to having breath work.
No, I mean, see, the thing is, Sanskrit as a language is so deep. Every word has multiple meanings. Even dhyana has been roughly translated to meditation, when dhyana is not meditation,
Hmm.
right? So any word you take, asana, asana has been roughly translated to posture, but that's not what asana means. So there's deeper meaning and deeper multiple layers of meaning to every single Sanskrit word. So because English as a language is not able to keep up with Sanskrit as a language, it's just syntax. So I would say not to pay attention to the meaning, but rather pay attention to the experience. So if when you're breathing, it feels like work, then you call it breath work. But I haven't met a single human for whom breathing feels like work, even if they have asthmatic or they have respiratory conditions. Breathing doesn't feel like work to them.
Hmm.
Breathing
That's
feels
correct.
like life.
That's correct. That's correct. I don't know why there's an industry around this science.
Misappropriation of yoga, whatever sells, we'll name it that.
That's true. That's true.
But I don't see it as good or bad, because this is the beauty of the art and science and the rich science of yoga, right? It's spreading today in today's commercialistic, capitalistic world through mediums that people relate to. We're living in a consumeristic capitalist society. We're not going to be living in caves anymore, ever, right? Those times are gone. So today's yogi is buying cars and buying houses and living in villas. And so he understands the language of consumerism and capitalism. The yoga is so
Hmm.
beautiful. It's adapted to the 21st century.
That's right. As long as you're following the principles of it and adopting to whatever uh, modern society you're in.
Now, who decides, right? I mean, I have plenty of yoga teacher friends, and I'm always asking them, are you a yoga teacher or are you an asana teacher?
Hmm. Yes.
Some take it in the right spirit and they go with radical honesty and they evaluate within themselves whether they're actually teaching the science of yoga, which is a moksha shastra, a liberation science, or whether they're just sports yogis and teaching asana. Neither is right or wrong, but some approach it with radical honesty, whereas the others, like, no, they feel insulted. They say, no, I'm a yoga teacher. So there's no right or wrong. It's all relative and it's subjective.
Yes, Anjan. We have to definitely talk about all these myths which people have been building around yoga. So,
Hmm.
Anjan, you mentioned about Tantra. again, can you simplify what tantra is and what people have thought tantra really is?
Sure. So, to really put it in a very simple way, I would say the tantric path is for somebody who's not wanting to be a renunciate, somebody who doesn't want to become an ascetic, somebody who doesn't want to renounce. So, in the traditional sense, the Vedic or Vedantic path was for people who want to renunciate, right? You finish your grihastha, which is householder, and you move to sannyasi, which is a renunciate. You're immersed in the divine and you're not interested in any worldly, materialistic activities anymore. So, therefore, Tantra was introduced as an alternative to people who were not either one born into an ascetic family or two who didn't want to renounce their worldly pleasures. So, the way I see it is two differences. Okay, based on desire, we all have desire. In the Vedic and Vedantic system, or in the traditionalist system, let's say, you renounce the desire to find liberation, to find moksha or nirvana or liberation or enlightenment or what. In the tantric system, you embrace the desire and you fulfill the desire to find liberation. So beginning is still the same, desire. End is still the same, liberation. Just the path is a bit different in each of these aspects. This is the simplest way to explain Tantra. The West, of course, sees it as sexual acrobatics. But there is a movement called Neo Tantra. I call it California Tantra, which places the importance on kama or bodily lust, right? Pulling out the philosophy and the energy from it. But there also exists a lot of classical Tantra teachers in India, in Bali, in Thailand, even in Europe, who are teaching the essence of what it is to become more sensitive through your own bodily sensory experiences, sensitive from your sensory experience, so you become more sensible.
And not looking the other, only looking the other way.
Not looking just on the aspect of the sexuality. So in Tantra, it is about making love, but you're making love to your own self in a way, right? Like the way I explain it, and I shot a video about this, is that if you're walking on the grass, your feet are making love to the grass. You know, if you're swimming in the ocean, your body is making love to the ocean.
Like you're more receptive to everything around you.
Absolutely, you increase your sensitivity so much that all your desires get fulfilled. That you're in a state of pleasure and orgasmic bliss constantly. And the science behind it also is similar to the Kundalini science, where you're generating a rasa called soma rasa, right? And now science is catching up. They're talking about molecules generated by the pituitary and the pineal gland, and they have a lot of research in DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine, and psychedelic substances, which give you similar states of being as what the yogis experience purely through meditation.
Is again a huge industry being building around that topic too, but that is a very vast and a separate topic. We'll definitely get in touch with that topic. Yes,
man, we can speak about psychedelics for hours.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, I mean, honestly, I'm right now, if you look at me, I'm in a state of pretty much like somebody who's been consuming drugs for many years. I mean, look at my eyes.
Oh.
I won't say I'm high, but I have that blissful joy of somebody who is addicted to anything. I'm not saying you should be addicted to those. I would say no to external chemical substances. You can generate internal chemical substances which give you similar amount of experiences. So when you can generate these chemicals, whether it's dopamine or adrenaline or cortisol or melatonin, serotonin, so many different substances, and a cocktail mix of these substances with the master substance of a DMT and somarasa, which is still not identified by science yet, you can really create some unbelievable experiences from within. So why do you have to go for it outside?
Again, I feel it all depends on that pain and pleasure aspect of getting that feeling very quickly rather than practicing it and giving your time.
No, you can get it very quickly if you practice it well enough. When you practice it, it becomes yours and it's more long lasting and that is more pleasurable. There is no pain. Absolutely. There is zero pain. So This concept of no pain, no gain is the indoctrination. The yogic path is all pleasure, all gain.
That's
The
right. That's
tantric path is also all pleasure, all gain.
all good.
Why would we do anything that's not pleasurable? The minute we're from inside motivated to do it, it is pleasurable. Where does pain come when you're doing something you're not motivated to do? So why would you do something you're not motivated to? Either get motivated or don't do it. The problem with humanity is most of us, even including me, I used to be like this a lot. I've now trained myself, and with training you can change it. We go to places and we do things we don't want to do, and we don't do things we want to do. So we have pain.
Mm,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with pain. I'm saying you can construct your life so that your life is pleasant.
mm.
What else do
Ag-
we seek other than a pleasant life?
That is again a choice which we ourselves are making in our mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not just in our mind, in our body, in our spirit, in our thoughts. For example, you will never see a happy person sit like this. You'll never see a sad person sit like this. So it's our body that's controlling our thought pattern, right? So these are choices we make. Some subconsciously because we have been indoctrinated and we have swallowed a lot of delusions. Some consciously because we want to be in that state. Some people like pain. It gives them pleasure to feel pain.
Mm. That's
At the end, it's
that's
still pleasure, but
yeah. Again, it is in their perspective that they might feel that they're in pain, but it is a pleasure, unconscious pleasure for them.
they like it. Absolutely. They like it. I have so many of these friends who go to the gym and, do really painful things, but they find pleasure out of it. So the end result is pleasure. We're all seeking pleasantness.
Mm. So, Anjan, speaking about mind, you've set you set out on this audacious goal of meditating with a million. Now, again, in that goal, your target is to meditate with one new person every day. How is your process to make someone ready to sit who has never meditated?
The goal was to meditate with 1 million humans. And I set this goal with the intention of failing. So why would I choose a goal that I know I can succeed in? Then
Mm,
it's not really a goal that I can aspire. Now this goal is encouraging me to go out and meditate with more and more people every day to find unique ways to meditate with them, right?
mm,
Meditation, the illusion is that you have to sit down and close your eyes. Why? People are in a meditative state many times. Can we help them rediscover this state? For example, you're watching a beautiful sunset and you don't have any worries of the past. You have no anxiety about the future. You're in that moment. And
mm,
then you transcend that moment too. You don't exist. There's no more, what is my name? What is my nationality? What is my job? What is my creed? Nothing. You merge with that sunset. That feeling of oneness overcomes you. That feeling of connection with everything in the universe. The heart knowledge you universe and the head knowledge that you are a speck of dust, so you're irrelevant. So you're magnificent and you're irrelevant at the same time. This merges into this one moment where you're completely in bliss. What else is meditative state? That is it. So you can
mm.
discover this many different ways in life.
Not necessary that you have to be sitting cross-legged. You could be just be present with whatever the moment is.
The the Hatha Yogic system recommends, even Patanjali recommends certain practices you do before you try to find the stillness of the mind. Yogascha chitta vritti nirodha is what Patanjali recommends. So in that system, it's recommended you first discover the ability to sit, then you discover the ability to breathe or conscious breath work, conscious awareness of your life force. Then you discover the ability to withdraw your senses so that you're not distracted. Then you will reach this meditative state, eventually reaching what Patanjali calls samadhi. And then
Mm,
kaivalya, oneness, right? So you can reach this even without doing these steps. That is why Tantra is there.
Mm.
So
That's
for the
right.
tantric, you can be meditative when you're even touching a piece of wood. You merge with the wood. You no longer exist.
Mm.
So it's important to not intellectualize this so much. Everybody has experienced it sometime. The more we intellectualize it, the more we're going to put expectations on ourselves on what is meditation. If we
And
approach it with zero expectations, everybody, every single human is ready to meditate. So to answer your question, I haven't found a single human who's not ready to meditate. Show me any human, and I'll show you how they are ready to meditate.
mm,
Because meditation is not a verb, it's not something they do. It's something they become, it's a state they reach.
which they might not know that they have ever been in.
You don't need to know, because that's again a logical, intellectual conclusion analysis. So they might have not become sensitive to the fact that they actually experienced it already. Maybe when a mother sees her newborn baby, she's in bliss,
Mm.
right? When an artist sees his painting come alive, when a dancer merges with her dance, when a musician merges with his music, when a high performance athlete is jumping off a cliff without a parachute to jump into the water, dude, this is some powerful human experiences.
Mm. That's right. That's right.
None of these people are sitting down cross-legged.
That's right. Means whenever you people have felt those aspects of, let's say, a father who's been playing with her daughter, and he might not know how his work is going on, or is there any issue at his home. He's just present with his daughter at that moment.
Correct.
That's right.
So that momentary awareness is called mindfulness sometimes. So to transcend beyond that mindfulness, when you merge completely with the experience, is the essence of Tantra, merging. Tanoti trayate iti Tantra, the expansion and the merging, and the liberation through the expansion. That is Tantra. Tana means body. Body means what? Your Annamaya Kosha, your physical and your Pranamaya Kosha, your life force dimensions according to the yogic system. So when you merge yourself and you get expansion, that is Tantra. So when you're playing with your daughter, if you merge, if you become your daughter like a child, and you do
Mm.
that sometimes. So this state of that's there. That's the mindfulness kind of thing, being in the moment, which the beauty is it went to China and went to Japan, and it's a very, very highly efficient science. Now it's called Zen, which is the, I would say, origin of mindfulness. So Dhyana went to China, became Chan, went to Japan, became Zen, right? Which is
Mm.
why I got so attracted to the Japanese monasteries, because I said they've taken this thing from all our texts and they've really refined it.
So, Anjan, what are the 5 yogic myths which you have faced?
So I'd like to talk about the untruths about yoga that
Mm.
lead to the cultural misappropriation of yoga. Because though I'm not saying it as a good or bad thing, it has been marketed for the consumeristic society and the capitalistic agenda. Somebody might be doing something, but because it sounds cool, let's call it yoga, right? So these are the cultural misappropriations. So there's so many, but because you said 5, I'll tell you my top 5. Okay. 1, yoga is not for fitness. So that's the first one. Fitness, I would say, is a byproduct. It's not
Mm.
the main purpose. In fact, I have a friend, Manish, who's a yoga teacher. He's creating a series called Beyond Asana, and he's been teaching yoga for 20 years now. And he wants to really point out this to his students that yoga is beyond asana. We should not take one little part of it to make it more appealing to the market. This is co-opting, right? And forgive my French, but this is bastardizing yoga. So this cultural misappropriation is very prevalent. And if you see, none of the yogic sequences actually increase your heart rate or make you fit, except maybe the Surya Namaskar, which has a nice cultural heritage where Hanuman paid his respect, Lord Anjaneya, the monkey god, paid his respect to Surya, the sun, and then he devised this set of series. But asanas came into prominence only during colonialism,
Mm.
when Indian kings wanted to show the British that Indians were not weak. So they borrowed ideas from Western gymnastics and European calisthenics to create what modern day you see asanas in classes, right? And then you had the 80s boom of aerobics. So yoga came right after that. So
Mm.
hopefully now there's a bit more body awareness for people to understand that a posture is not just for fitness. The second myth I want to talk about is that yoga is not a feel good activity. Meditation is not about relaxation. In fact, meditation is what happens after you're relaxed. Why I say is this feeling better is a byproduct. Yoga being a moksha shastra makes you feel better when you have the process of self-realization. But when you go to a deep place inside, which yoga gets you to go, then you wake up to many things that you were not aware of. And you were not aware of this deep inside you. So this can be a painful process. So the path of liberation doesn't really always feel good. Sometimes it feels really bad. But if a student has chosen, and if they have the fortitude to persevere, right? If they have the tapas, the austerity to continue and have this perseverance, this quality of the ability to keep going on, that is why yoga is for them. So today, the scientific credibility of yoga is going to everything in the West, especially to talk about its fitness aspect and, you know, the energetic aspect. But there is a danger in this, because if you're going to tell people that yoga calms your nervous system, yoga heals anxiety, and if it's somebody coming from a place of trauma, and if you say, just do the class, just go, just let go, you will feel better, then you're actually harming them. You're spiritually bypassing real trauma. So this point of awakening is to see through all of that and go through it and have an authentic experience, whether it's causing you tension or whether it's causing you relaxation. You want to move towards pleasantness. But
Mm.
what I want to say is that this feel good happens only as a byproduct. Myth number 3, yoga is secular. Yoga is definitely not secular. In fact, it's harmful and not fair to the authenticity of the practice if you call it secular. Yoga is a spiritual science. There's nothing secular about it. It has a philosophy. It has spiritual teachings. It has spiritual connotations. Remember, when I say secular, it's not religious, but it is of the spirit. Now, there's no dogma in yoga, but it does talk about one, it does talk about the creator, it does talk about devotion. You cannot leave that part out. It's not a new age movement. Many people are making it this just for sales. So I don't see it as right or wrong, but it's important to stick to the spiritual heart of yoga and speak about it from an authentic place. Also, as teachers, it's important to teach from a place of love and utmost respect for the people and the generations and all the rishis and munis and teachers who came before us. So
Mm.
it's not something I've created or something I've thought of. There's so many centuries of great seers, rishis, munis, babas who have come and given this gift to humanity. So it's not secular at all. There's a huge spiritual aspect to it. So that's myth number 3. Myth number 4, I need to buy expensive yoga gear. This is my favorite one. You don't have to wear Lululemon. You don't have to wear leggings. You can practice yoga in any clothes, any form you want. So this is, you know, a typical picture of a yoga master in the Himalayas wearing yoga pants. You don't need to do that. You don't need to grow a beard. This is all just, you know, like the clothes and the mats and the blocks are all just created so that those companies can make more money.
Mm. Very much
Nothing
similar to
wrong with
how
having mats.
a runner approaches running, or let's say a cyclist approaches cycling.
No, but for a cyclist, you need a cycle.
Yeah,
For a yogi, you only need your own body.
yes, but even in case of, let's say, a runner, there are, you just need to run, but there are so many things which are coming into the market that everyone feels that we need, let's say, we need a foam roller, or we need these caps, or we need these shorts with those zip pockets.
That's right. So yoga in its essence is about this practice of vairagya, or this practice of aparigraha, which is letting go of things you don't need, not having the ownership. It's not
Right.
pushing towards consumerism, right? So you have to realize that
Yeah,
consumerism is a myth. Yoga
it's
says,
in
or
fact going
even
the
Tantra
opposite
says,
way.
exactly. No need to renounce the world. No need to not have mats or blocks or anything, but no need to be attached to those possessions either. So your aspiration should be to gain more than possessions and not to gain more possessions, you know. So think of people who might not have access to yoga because they don't have proper gear. So somebody thinks they can't go to a yoga class because they don't have a mat or they don't have the butt sculpting yoga pants. This is an idea of beauty that's forced upon women. And anyone that doesn't fit to this typecasting of a slim, beautiful yoga body is not accepted sometimes. Okay, so number 5, let's talk about the topic of culturally appropriating itself, right? So many people, they culturally appropriate the scriptures to suit the community narrative. So the writing in the Agamas or the Bhagavad Gita are very powerful, but altering them to reflect our modern narrative of our community is not fair. You can't change the scriptures. These are ancient texts, right? So you can find credibility in ancient texts, but the ancient texts are not doing it at all. So, for example, there are examples where pranayama or nadi shodhana has been taken and it's been created into breathing techniques. You know, even Wim Hof, his techniques are all from ancient yogic practices. So, I think the importance of giving that credit, and you know, even things like law of attraction, so many of these, Joe Dispenza, I know a lot of yogic ideologies he's taking. So have the ability to embrace it all, just be in the present moment, right? And especially in the new age circles, new age doctrines, it's important to find credibility in these ancient texts. So the misappropriation there is not giving credit to these ancient texts.
I guess even the dog agrees.
He agrees.
So, Anjan, um, again, do you have any food choices which you like strictly avoid?
Mm-hmm. So I only recognized this a few years ago when I became more aware of my diet. But my entire life, I've pretty much been eating a sattvic diet. Now, in Ayurveda, there's 3 types of gunas. Gunas means qualities: sattva, rajas, tamas. So, sattvic quality is what is recommended for yogis. And because I come from this family, we've been eating sattvic food all my life. Recently, I started a project called Yogic Meals. So, we're a community that advises people on the importance of eating food that is rich with prana. Prana as in life force. So food that is fresh, sustainable, not just for ourselves, but also for the planet. So since I've been involved in this project, I have again re-looked at everything I'm eating and then seeing which one of this food I'm eating is dead, which one is alive, which one has prana. If it's been refrigerated, it's definitely more dead than if it's freshly picked from the garden. If it's been microwaved, it definitely has lost prana compared to plucking a fruit from a tree. So the more food you can eat that is rich in prana is better for you. And this is the yogic way of eating. That's why the project is called Yogic Meals, where we're educating people on how to eat like a yogi, taking prana to their plate.
So, is it like the more you have to refrigerate any food, the more it is dead?
There are different, kind of perspectives on this, but in the yogic perspective, unless you live in a place where food is not available for some parts of the year, then they used to bury the food in ice, right? Because you couldn't find the food in winter time. There was no fruits on the trees.
Right.
But if you live in a tropical area where there's plenty of produce all through the year, then what is the need to eat old or stale food? But that said, remember that in an urban scenario, all the fruit and vegetable you get is already old and already refrigerated.
True.
So I would say people, don't be so hard on yourself when you're putting it in your refrigerator for a few days, because anyway, it's come to you maybe 1 month after it's been harvested. So I would say, can every single human look at growing their own tomatoes in their balcony, growing some little lemons or some tulsi or some cinnamon or some ginger in a small garden, in a small plot, or collectively helping each other grow in a community, right? Even if you live in a high-rise apartment, you can grow some, with the new techniques of permaculture and stuff, you can grow, and hydroponics, you can grow on your balcony, right? And the greenhouse technology and the permaculture technology is grown so much. The big agro companies want this consumerism. They want you to eat sugar. They want you to eat saturated, monounsaturated fats. They want you to have corn oil and vegetable oils. But science is catching up with what the yogis said and showing how some nutrients are not great for the body, while some are great for our body, especially for longevity, anti-aging, and my favorite topic, reverse aging.
That's true. Well, yes, all these big industries have been hammering us with their advertisements and misguiding us as to what is, let's say, a healthy breakfast. And yeah, but definitely we need to relook on what food choices we're making, and definitely we need to pick more food choices which are grown more locally, so that we can actually identify that, okay, this is the real food rather than what is mentioned on the package as real food.
See, listen, it would be one-sided to only blame these big agro companies. All of us are also to blame. We didn't have the ability to discern. We took things in blindly as humans. The consumeristic kind of way of living wouldn't have happened if there are no consumers. So now is the time. I call it the consciousness revolution. The world is going through this. So there's no point in blaming how they've been brainwashing us, asking us to eat cereal filled with sugar. Instead, can we all become more aware? Can each of us talk to 5 people and open their eyes and tell them, do you know what you're eating? And really, really kind of drive home the fact that food is medicine.
Hmm. Not medicine is your food.
No. Yeah.
That's true. That's true, Anjan. So, Anjan, we've just come to the end of our show. What message would you like to share with everyone?
I would say find ways to add value to your ecosystem, your friends, and people around you. Because today, the illusion that you're alone will really cause you more pain than pleasure. With Corona and with what's happening in the world today with isolation and social distancing, you're bound to feel alone. So realize that you are not. Everybody else is going through the same thing. So reach out, find out how you can add value. Reach out, find out how you can spread some love. At the same time, do your own how you can be of value to people. If you're not of value to people, even if you reach out, if you have nothing valuable to give or to share or to say or to teach, find out what would you like and then build skills in those and then go out and give value. Let's collectively try to make the world a sharing economy where we constantly are adding value to each other. And even if you look at modern day millionaires, this is what they say, right? You add value and people pay you for your value. So it's also a path towards wealth creation. So that's the first thing I'd like to say. Second thing I'd like to say is that don't think of yourself in boxes or in labels. Question everything. Look at everything with a subjective lens and realize that all truth is subjective, right? Look at everything with a pinch of salt and observe any kind of message you get before you absorb, because every single message is hypnotic. Even what I'm saying, question it, accept it only if it works for you, otherwise don't accept it. That's the second thing I want to say. Third thing I want to say is recognize that you are pure love and just be love, be kind, be compassionate, be empathetic, be loving to yourself and to everybody around you. Very important to be loving and kind to yourself and to
Mhm.
everybody around you. What else is there to do other than to love? Nothing else, just love.
That's very well put, Anjan. Yes, we need to, very, very, very relevant in Corona times, we need to be open and we need to be love, as in first loving ourselves and then spreading that love everywhere. So, Anjan, thank you for coming on our show. Where can everyone find you on the internet?
Thank you for your insightful questions. They can look for Meditate with Anjaan on Instagram, Facebook, and meditatewithanjaan.com. They can also check out Yogic Meals on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not sure the website is up yet, but they can check out the Instagram. So Meditate with Anjaan for me and Yogic Meals for the nutrition community that we're building.
Perfect, perfect. I'll definitely make sure to link all these links in the show notes. Great. Thank you, Anjan. Thank you for being part of the show. Namaste.